Okay, today I want to talk to you about the 2-5-1. If you've talked to anyone about jazz or heard anything about jazz, you probably hear the phrase 2-5-1 all the time. You have to know your 2-5-1s, you have to practice your 2-5-1s. So the question is, what exactly is the 2-5-1? And so I'm going to break that down for you today and eventually have you play this. That's essentially what a 2-5-1 is, and that's how we're going to voice it on the piano as well. So, what's a 2-5-1? Well, the numbers refer to the notes in the scale. If you have the C major scale, the second note in the scale, 1, 2, is D. The fifth note of the scale is G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the first note of the scale is C. Okay, so in the first sense, 2-5-1 refers to the notes D, G, and C in the C major scale. So, but when we're talking about the 2 chord and the 5 chord and the 1 chord, which is really what we're talking about with the phrase 2-5-1, we have to add some notes on top of the D, G, and C. So it will be 2 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. So that's D minor, G major, and C major, all using the notes of the C major scale. So we see that the 2-5-1 is built off of those 3 notes. Now, in jazz, we don't limit ourselves usually to just those 3 note chords, what are called triads. They extend it further to 7th chords. Almost always you're going to be hearing and having 7th chords. So that would be 2-7, 5-7, 1-7. So you see that in the Roman numerals, and in the chord symbols we have D minor 7, G7, and C major 7. So then there's one more thing in jazz that not many people realize, but maybe you do know, which is that you can omit the 5th in the chord. The 7th chord has 4 notes in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have the root of the chord. You have the 3rd of the chord, which is a 3rd above the root. You have the 5th of the chord, which is a 5th above the root. And you have the 7th of the chord, which is a 7th above the root. So you can omit the 5th, which is A in this chord. So then that means that, and that goes for the other chords as well, that means that you can play the 2-5-1 like this. 2 without the 5th, 5 without the 5th, no D, and 1 without the 5th. So then, what do we do next? Well, after we've omitted the 5th, we can now take the chord, remove the root, as if I'm plucking it out with my left hand. I'm going to put it down here in the lower register of the piano. We call it the bass register. And notice how on the staff in the upper left corner of your screen, you have the D in the bass clef. So you'll play the root of each chord in the left hand, and that leaves you 2 notes in the right hand, the 3rd and the 7th of the chord. I'm going to do that one more time. Here's the D minor 7 without the 5th. I'm going to take out the root, put it down here in my left hand. Okay? And that again goes for all the other chords. So I take this, take the G, the root out of the chord, put it down here. And now C7, I'm going to take the C out of the chord and put it down here. And that's a C major 7 chord. Put that in order. 2, 5, 1. Okay. Now, we don't like to jump around in music. It's hard to follow if we're jumping up here, jumping from one end of the piano to the other. We like to connect it. We like to connect notes next to each other. so that there's a smooth line and a smooth melodic trajectory through our chords. And this is what we called voice leading. So instead of jumping back and forth, we're going to invert the second chord. So what I mean by that is we're going to start as usual with this, and then instead of doing this for the G7 chord, the 5-7 chord, we're going to take the top note and put it down here. Okay, so notice in my right hand I have B and F. Well, I can reverse their order. I can flip them upside down so that F will now be down here as an F underneath B. It's the same notes, the same chord, and but now it's inverted. And then C7 would be this. I'm not inverted. So we're only inverting the second chord. So then put that together. We have D minor 7, the inverted G7, and then C major 7. And notice now there is a smooth melodic trajectory in your right hand. Now your right hand is playing this, then this, which is the closest connection you can possibly form between two chords, is where you only move one note by a half step. And then going into the C major 7 chord, we're going to move this note F down to E. And again, that's only moving one voice by a half step. These can be talked about as two different voices, as if there's two singers doing their part and playing that chord. So then we put that together and we get the thing I showed you at the beginning. 2, 5, 1. Hope that helps you understand what the 2-5-1 is. You can transpose that into other keys, for instance in the key of F major. And I inverted some of the chords to make them connect smoothly. Same key. Here's the key of B flat major. Here's E major. And so on and so forth.